Yo, what up, world? It's your boy C's from the CZLife.com. Welcome back to the people's favorite channel on the internet. Today, today's topic, today's discussion, we're going to be talking about bringing God into your business. And going to be using my testimony to do so. So, without any further ado, and before we get started on the discussion, let me preface. I'm not religious. I don't belong to any religious organization. I just believe in God, right? I just believe in God. I'm not a Catholic. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a whatever sort of denomination of the day or whatever. I just believe in God. All right. So let's just get right into it. So back so first of all, let's acknowledge, one of the biggest blessings that God has given me, which was my wife. And we met 10 years ago and we've been together ever since, right? So we celebrated our 10 year 10-year relationship anniversary yesterday, because the day that we met, we was like, yo, life partners, right? And 10 years later, 2 kids, a dog, a house, a pool, 2 cars, traveled the world together. That has been my biggest blessing from God. So, yeah, that that right there, the biggest blessing in the world. Like, opened my mind to so much different things. But we're gonna get to that story. So we're gonna start before that. So like around 2009, 2010, I got the bug. I got the entrepreneurial bug. Might have been 2008 too. The end of 2008, because I remember, the whole crisis with, like, wasn't really in tune to the market crashing, but I just knew that, people's money was tight back then, right? And me and my buddy, we got the entrepreneurial bug together, me and my best friend, and we decided to go into business with one another, right? And we opened a used car dealership. We did the finessing thing. We got our license out of state, Indiana, and we got our dealer license plate. We started going to all the auto auctions, running smoothly, right? Buying the cars, selling them quick, because we was getting them for dirt cheap. Because again, the car market was big because the cars were being repossessed. Like, people were just getting all their cars repossessed. So you was getting cars for pennies on the dollar, right? And that was a blessing. It's like, oh shit, our first business together, and we making it work, right? We making it work. And I'm thinking like, yo, man, what is everybody talking about when they're saying don't work with friends, or, you can't, yeah, right? I was like, y'all dumb, man. Like, me and my best friend, we gonna make this work, right? But then we got tested. Sales was slowing up, and we're young. We mismanaging funds, right? We mismanaging funds. And we also hired a few people. We hired family, well, sort of family, to help expand our business. And that was starting to deteriorate because they were using our license to do some shady shit. So we were just fumbling the bag, right? But we didn't fumble it completely. So fast forward, I think we were like in business for like maybe 9 months, I would say. Then there was an opportunity. There was an opportunity to raise capital really quickly and just get out of here, right? So we needed we needed an investor, and I have a history of being really great with money. You know what I'm saying? Like from like saving my allowances, my weekly allowances, always just thought that money should be saved, right? That's what, and other family members thought otherwise, is like spend money. But me, I was like, yo, every time I save money, there's something that I really want. And instead of me asking for someone for money to get it, I have money because I saved it up, right? And so I saved money and I invested in this opportunity. Now, to be completely transparent, this opportunity was scamming. This is like when, the credit card scamming, especially in New York, was running wild. You had your Lamborghini Maserati boys just like scamming credit cards and just getting money, like pulling up in brand new V's almost every day, right? So like 80s and 90s, you had your drug dealers. 2000s, you had your credit card scammers, right? So I invested in that play. Now, when I invested when I invested in that play, I asked myself, like, yo, C's, when you invest in this play, how can karma hit you in the ass or get you in the ass, right? I asked myself that. Now, I don't know what I knew it was wrong. I knew it was illegal, and then everybody around us was just telling us like, "Yo, it's all good." Like, the bank, they got insurance. They rob us every day. The bank has insurance. Like when somebody reports it, they'll get reimbursed. And me thinking logically, I'm like, yeah, that's fine and dandy, but where are they getting that money from to reimburse these people from the money that we stole, right? So I'm asking myself, like, yo, how is this karma going to get me in the ass? And then I started thinking about like the successful drug dealers who um, sell drugs and then just raise capital to get out the game, right? I thought that's what's going to be me. I'm going to be like the ace, and I even had the the nickname given to me, Ace, from Paid in Full. um, and I thought I was just going to invest in that and then just raise my capital, give me a good 50 bands, and I'm out. But quickly, things was flowing, and like just to protect others that were involved. I'm not going to give the whole story, but things start to go left, right? When people saying don't buy in at the top, right? That's kind of like what I did in terms of credit card scamming. I bought at the top, right? So like right when, federal agents and the feds was raining down and getting people in the stores were catching on, that's when I got involved, right? So quickly, all credit cards were being like monitored and people were going into the stores and buying stuff. But long story short, whole operation just bellied up. People were going to jail. People were getting killed. Mind you, I'm like out of the mix. I just invested in. I'm a silent investor, right? I'm a silent investor, and I'm just sitting back silent, just watching my investment just burn to the ground. And so quickly, that operation burned to the ground. Everybody involved in that operation burned to the ground. Then our used car dealership was getting burned to the ground because our attention is focusing on raising capital quickly. We're not focusing on the daily operations of our business. So that just goes left, right? So, long story short, again, I got bought out, right? I got bought out. I found a way to like get my position in my business bought out. And yeah, just wipe my hands clean and got a regular job. Okay. I went and got a regular job. So that's around yeah. Same, yeah, I got a regular job. But what that taught me, man, is fast money ain't good money, right? It's not good money at all. Like fast money is not good money. And now, several years later, I learned that. So to my youngins, so oftentimes I get messages from my cousin or from my brothers who watch this. This is a message for y'all, man. Like, yo, fast money ain't good money, man. Like, you have to pay, you have to work. So just imagine you created something. Let's imagine you created something and you gave it a task to do, right? You gave your creation a task to do and it doesn't work. What do you do with that, right? You discard it because it doesn't work. So that's the same thing. Like God created you to do a task. And if you don't do that task and you do the exact opposite, you're dysfunctional. You don't work. So he discards you. And he doesn't discard you like, he gets you. It's a slow process, right? Like everything is done with science and precision. It's like a slow process because at any given moment, you could turn your life around. At any given moment, you could turn your life around. So what God did me, he like put that bug in me. And 2012, the year that changed my life, man, I was just hyper focused. So what I did was get my cash up and I bought coaching. So I was able to flip a few things and just spend $2,000 on coaching and went into this seminar and my life just changed. Like my mind just was like, it's like something just took my mind and just like opened it up. It was like it had to pry it open, right? I remember during those coaching sessions, I had like it wasn't a panic attack. It was more like overwhelm, right? Overwhelm, shock. Like, oh my God, like literally as if you were to actually see the codes of the universe. That was my experience during this coaching, right? And I remember coming out of that coaching and I'm like, yo, like I know what I want to do now. And every day since, I was doing things with deep focus and deep intention, right? Now, it wasn't all, oh my God, I saw the light, right? It wasn't like, oh my God, I saw the light, because I still had to do the work. And in the work, right, you're going to feel the bumps and the bruises and the pain. Because one thing I know is like when you coming out of an environment where I came from, the hood in Brooklyn, there's so much pain and so much dysfunction. You start to take it on as a personality, right? So you're going to lie, you're going to cheat, you're going to steal, right? You're going to do everything that God told you not to do. He just says, keep his commandments, as simple as it is, keep his commandments. But it's like, I'm just blinded. I'm just seeing my precious. I just like, yo, man, this is what I want to do. I want to get the bag. I want to work for myself and build my own, right? My own media company. So what I used to do is steal hours from my job, right? And that's another thing that, and one thing I can say is like every time I turned to God, right? He always gave me a way. He always gave me a way out, right? Every time I would fuck up, go against his commandments, and and then ask myself like, yo, what did I do wrong? Knowing damn well what I did wrong, lie, steal, cheat, right? I would just ask him like, yo, what did I do wrong? And how he would send his messages is through other people, right? He brought so much beautiful people, beautiful opportunities into my life. Not just people, but opportunities, which opportunities are through people, right? So he would bring these things into, like, he's like, yo, when I'm asking him like, yo, what am I doing wrong? Am I still on the right path? He would bring an opportunity. He would bring a person to me, right? And like, yo, here, don't F this up. Sometimes I would F it up. Sometimes I would turn it into a win, right? And one of those people was my wife, right? My girlfriend at the time. I remember we had a magical evening. I remember just meditating before the date too. Like, I met her through OK Cupid, right? So I never met her in person. And I remember just like, yo, man, like, I need to stop playing these freaking games, dog. I need to find me a chick to hold me down while I get to work, right? I remember asking that. Like, I said, I need a chick to hold me down so I can get to work. Like, I don't know what compelled me to say that, but for some reason I just needed a partner, right? Somebody that just loved me unconditionally. Like, yeah, you have your mama, your siblings and everything, but I needed that woman's love, right? And I remember just saying that, repeating that in my head during my meditation. And then got dressed, got on the train and met up with her in the Lower East Side. Now we just finally just met for the first time. So walk in, and I just told her, like, and she told me when I sat down at the bar, right? She was like, yo, are you going to order a drink? I'm like, nah, I don't drink alcohol. And immediately she said that in her head, like, oh, this date ain't gonna last long. But then we got to talking, right? So we talked, and then she took me to this album release party at Flux Studio in the Lower East Side. And then we just had a magical evening in the rooftop looking at the Empire State Building. Like, it was like, then we walked through the San Gennaro Festival. It was just a beautiful, like, ultimately, I want to turn our relationship and tell it through like one of those rom-coms, right? Because it's true. It's like this degenerate kid from the hood meeting like this white girl from Salt Lake who like living in New York City, right? Pursuing her rock and roll career. That is like, that is a love story for the history books right there. So definitely want to tell that story soon. But those are the type of people that he would bring into your life, right? So if you're looking for fast money, you're looking to cheat the game. You're looking to like try to win without doing the work, right? You're trying to get the result without doing the work, right? And I was just like, inherently, I knew that. So I was like, yo, man, just give me a way. And of course, you're going to get tempted throughout your journey. And these temptations are going to be the temptations that's going to pull you away from your path, right? Imagine you have a map, like going from New York to California. There's a straight line across the country, right? And every state you go to is going to be a distraction that's going to hold you here for like a month or two, right? Just thinking that, right? So every distraction that you entertain is just taking you away from your path. Like God, like if you follow his commandments and keep his commandments, is basically leading you to the bag at the end of the day, right? So oftentimes I see this in my journey all the time. I see me just like going towards my goal, but then there are stops along the way. I want to be entertained. I want to be joyful and asking like, are we there yet? Like every sort of stop is like driving across country with a toddler who needs to pee every 5 minutes, right? It's like, and then asking, are we there yet? How much longer? It's literally the same thing. So I'm going to keep it all the way a buck. I ain't perfect, even though I know that is the quickest way to get to the bag is to just follow God's commandments. I know that it's just going to be, it's just human condition, right? And it's just keeping him in your mouth, right? In your praises, it just provides you a different sort of an energy. Now, I'm not saying like you go to church, because the church, I grew up Jehovah's Witness. The church didn't really teach me any of the stuff that I'm learning about God, right? Like I had to experience, I had to actually live life, away from the church to actually see the world and the lessons that God is teaching me through every action that I take. Every action that you take gives God the opportunity to teach you a lesson, right? With the result. It might be the result that you want or the result that you don't want. It depends on the action that you take. If you're taking a specific action, remember it's thoughts, words, and actions. If you're thinking a thought and you're taking a different action, then you're not going to get the actual manifestation, right? It has to be all in alignment. It's like going from New York to California. You have to follow that straight line. Or you're going to New York, Florida, Texas, Chicago, right? It's like if you want to go to the fastest route, you have to do it. And again, to quote Science of Getting Rich, you have to do it in a certain way. And you are God's instrument. He put you here to use you and work through you. So if you're just sitting back, not doing the work, how are you expected to get the result, right? So in the beginning, he tells you like how he created the world, right? The process 6 days. So when he created that process, he also gave his instrument a command, right? Let us make man in our image, right? Imagination. Imagine in, right? Image, nation. That was his commandments, man. And if you're not doing that, you're just pulling yourself away, further and further away from the bag. One of my quotes that I often quote from the Science of Getting Rich is, to be content with little is sinful, right? To be happy with what you have is sinful. It's like a sin to be happy with. And if you think about it, it's like, if I'm happy where I'm at, that's all there ever is going to be, right? There's no growth, there's no progress. And when you don't have any progress, which is our like nature, is to continuously evolve, right? If there's no evolvement, there's just death, right? And that's just robbing somebody else of an opportunity, because your priority here is to serve. So if you're not here serving, you're taking. And the more you take, the less you'll have to receive. Because if you keep taking and not giving, you're going to be like, all right, you cut off, man. So just acknowledging him. And I know there's like people that's been hurt through those preaching. I know a lot of people who've been like molested, or people who've been taken advantage of from the churches and stuff. That's why I must say that I am not religious. I do not represent any of these Catholics or any of these Protestants, Baptists, Jehovah's Witnesses. I just believe in God, right? So, and God will correct that, right? He will correct that, because I'm a living testament. Like, he will give you a way out. Because growing up, man, I had dreams. I remember sitting in the congregations and just daydreaming about the life that I wanted. I wanted to have my own house. I wanted to have my own pool. I wanted to have my own car. I wanted to come and go as I please, right? I wanted to do all those things. And he gave me the tools and resources to do so. All he asked of me is to serve his people. Like, for him to use me as a vessel to communicate these messages. So me as the person, separate me from the person, right? Separate what I'm saying from the person, because this is his message. This is him communicating like, yo, man, fast money ain't good money, man. And stop waiting for somebody to put you on. There is nobody going to put you on, man. Like, you don't need no cosign. All you need is God's cosign, man. Once you get God's cosign, you good. You're taken care of. Your family is taken care of. If you're just waiting for somebody to put you on, you're going to be waiting a very long time, because everybody knows that you can only use one cosigner. And that cosigner is just the one that's going to take you to new heights, right? If it's not directly from him, he's going to give you a person or an opportunity to say like, hey son, hey daughter, here's my cosign. I sent this person to do business with you. I sent this opportunity to take you over the edge. So he can send you opportunities and you can fumble it too, right? You could be like, yo, God, just give me one opportunity. And he gives you an opportunity in form of a client or in form of a job or in the form of a position, right? And you could just totally fumble it. I've fumbled it so many times, and I'm sitting back and I'm like, yo, I fumbled this so many times and I still ended up here, right? What happens if I stop fumbling? Exponential growth, right? So I'm committed to stop fumbling the bag. I'm committed to, like, keeping God in my business. And I just pray, man, like, yo, just keep me on the right path. Cause now I have a son and a daughter. And like growing up with my sister, I can't even conceive like putting my son and my daughter in that same position that me and my sister grew up in, right? In the hood, fighting, broken families, all of that stuff. Like, I just want my son and daughter to just like thrive, put them in position. If they're the first generations to like become the millionaires and build the infrastructure and like provide and serve, like, my job is to just nurture them and just mold them into, God's instruments, right? Because he gave me those blessings, right? And he's working through me to be a better dad for them and provide them. But I have to let them know where their genes came from, right? They came from Haiti, grew up in Brooklyn, right? Through the hip hop culture, and sprung out into Arizona in the sunny state. And then now, like, the economy here in Arizona is just blowing, with Intel building a $20 billion campus like 6 miles away from me. Their competitors who is building like a $15 billion, like, that's $35 billion in two companies, right? That's like investing in Phoenix. You have a lot of Californians moving in. There's so much opportunity. And he positioned me here, right? I had no concept of Phoenix, Arizona at all. I just knew DMX lived here for a little bit. I remember watching one of his reality shows. That's as far as I considered Arizona as a place to live, right? And then the different opportunities presented itself, and it allowed me to come and move and live here, right? So, man, so much different opportunities, and it just happened like that. Living in Boston, pandemic hit, then we like ended up in Phoenix, able to buy our first house, pool in the backyard. Each of us have our own cars, living really well. Now I know the economy is about to tank, and everything, but every sort of step of the way, this is why I just trust God in his process, because every step of the way, I know he got me, because he created this opportunity for me to be here to thrive in, right? Now, of course, your boy is just always going to be dumb and stupid, but I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I am trying my hardest, and having these conversations, keeping me in the crib and giving my testimonies out into the world. This is going to live on way beyond me. Maybe be an NFT on the blockchain somewhere, working on turning my sneaker collection into NFTs, right? And so many other projects. But now that my mind is open, I know where I came from, and now I can see with clear eyes, man. Like, cause the other day I went downtown because I'm like, all right, I gotta build a new Rome. You know what I'm saying? Like, my name is Caesar. Like, come on, I gotta build a new Rome, and this is the place. Phoenix is Arizona is the place, right? So I went downtown to kind of see what are like. There was like this conversation about the wealth inequality and the wealth gap, and I just went there. Anything that with wealth in it, I want to be a part of the discussion, right? If you're talking about wealth, I want to be sitting in the room with you. You know what I'm saying? Because wealth brings wealth, right? So if you're wealthy or you're having conversations about wealth, I want to be a part of it, right? So we go in there and we're talking. Guy gives his presentation, all willy nilly and dandy, right? And then he talks about like the growing wealth gap, and yeah, the statistics, slavery, all of these things. But now we're in modern times. We're about to make everything digital. Everything's going to be on a level playing field, right? So how can we step in and get to the bag? And then I looked around the room and I seen that I was the only one represented. I'm like the only black kid, right? Represented. And then it got me thinking, like, going back of the conversations that I wasn't a part of, going to work, like messing around, then coming home, watch my favorite TV shows, crash, sleep, next day, watch, rinse, repeat, right? So I know that there are people who want to gain wealth, but they're just so wrapped into their own matrix that they can't like say, yo, let me start searching for wealth, right? And there was a perfect analogy. Like it said that if you were to see someone enjoying an ice cream and you just like wanted, you had the capability of getting one of your own, you just needed to know where to go and get it. You can go and ask and be like, hey man, that looks good. Where did you get that ice cream? And they can point you into the direction and where to get it. Now, if they were to stop and stare at you like, what do you mean? I ain't gonna tell you where I got that ice cream. It's gonna still take you some time to go get it yourself, but they just didn't want to show you. And I want to equate that to asking a wealthy person, how did you get your first million, right? Like, God has positioned me and to be in rooms with wealthy individuals as clients, different opportunities or different events and stuff like that, being around wealthy individuals. They get to see your character. They get to, analyze you. And then you ask like, yo, man, this is my path. This is what I'm on. Like, how did you become successful? How did you get your first million, right? And they're eager to tell you like, yo, this is what I did. Like, this is, and it's like the most basic and obscure thing. Like, it would be the basic thing. Like, they invented the what you call it, the sleeve cup for the coffee, right? Or they have like a e-commerce brand that sells these things right here, right? Or they have a membership with like 10,000 members and they're making $5 million a month, right? It would be the most basic thing. But then you start to understand the inner workings, the science of how they were able to put it together. And you're like, oh, okay. So long story short, I've been rambling for mad long. Oh, man. This is sort of like a little manifesto, man. Like, I wish I would have found someone like me to tell me these things. Like, yo, if you search for wealth and you discard the fast money, because the fast money is always, you're going to notice there's going to be several opportunities for fast money. But you know why it's not going to work for you? Because it goes against commandments. Like, it's cheating the system. It's trying to get rich quick. It's trying to get fit quick. is trying to get abundance like quick. You have to work for these things. Like you're an instrument. If you're not working, you're not working. That's a double entendre. If you're not working, you're not working. You're not functional. You're dysfunctional, right? You're the opposite of functional. You're dysfunctional. You had the purpose, right? That's why you got to find your purpose. And your purpose is not going to come to you overnight. You're not going to have like a purpose fairy that's going to come and tell you like, hey, this is your purpose. You have to take like consistent action, and your purpose is going to consistently reveal itself on the path. Every time you deviate, just ask yourself, does this align with my purpose? If not, you know you're off track, right? So, yeah, bring God into your life, man. God will lead you to the bag. He sure led me, man. Like, yo, if you grew up with me, no different than you. If you went to school with me, no different than you. I just used my imagination and just failed along the way to get here. So that is the honest truth. Like I just asked myself like, yo, how much further would I be if I would have just been consistent and stop falling for the distractions, right? So yeah, man, take this lesson, run with it, get God into your life, because men lie, women lie, God don't, man. He always keeps it all the way 100 and funky with you. And you know if you did bad, like it's in the results that you get. So that's my thoughts, man, for the day. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to drink water, get money, mind your business.